Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's time for our 4-hour sweep here, our beginning of the week analysis. It's Monday. It's about 4:30 a.m. here Eastern time, Wall Street time. Not much has happened so far this week, I guess today. It's Monday. Last week was a very low volatility week. Very, very boring week. We ended up doing pretty well overall. I ended up in the green. It was just slow week. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to jump right into it, get into our 4-hour sweep analysis. We're going to do the first one of the week here, just try to figure out where we are. Just kind of a zoomed out 30,000 foot macro view of the market, a little bit of macro analysis, try to figure out what we're looking for as the week progresses. Not really much to do, but just get right into it. So I'm going to start with Buttcorn. Still ranging on the low. Obviously, nothing happens on the weekend anymore. I think we've pretty much all accepted that over the last year or two. This is still low in its macro range. There's not really much to say about it. It trades in line with the U.S. equities market. It's Wall Street bets now, and it's no longer the crypto weekend warriors. It's the Wall Street bets crowd that's moving Bitcoin. It is what it is. It trades in line with stock market indices. Not really much to say yet. If I had a choice, I'd rather be long, to be honest. Do I think it's the best entry? Probably not. Do I think it's going lower? Probably. Do I want to short the bottom of a very well-defined range? No. So, as of right now, probably it depends on what your time frame is. I would be looking within a day trading context. I'd probably be looking to get long. If I was looking for like a swing trade or any kind of any kind of macro trade. Oh, looks like the bot's taking profit. Something just happened there. Any kind of like macro longer term time frame, I would be waiting for a better entry. Even though this is the bottom of a range, it's just still not structurally. It's still not great. I think we can all accept that there's likely to be lower prices at some point. So depending on your time frame. For the purposes of this analysis, we're looking to see what we're doing this week. If I had a choice, I would probably be long without really looking into the weekly candle and all that. Risk reward wise, I'd probably be looking for a long within a day trade context while this is pulling back. It's not great. There's just not much to say here. We don't have any volume yet. We're in between. Technically, we're in between a swing high and a swing low right now. We're just about right in the middle of that. It's not really a great place to be taking any kind of entries from for longer term. So very look at this, the doji factory here, like just tiny little body candles. Just nothing here. Let's just wait for the market to start moving. We'll see. And again, that being said, I will say that it is near the low of a well-defined range. It's just hugging that 20,000 mark. Elon tweeted last week 20,000 on Twitter. Didn't seem to budge, which is interesting. So, not really much to say on it yet. Again, if gun to my head, I'm going long. We'll skip it for now. There's not much to talk about. I'm not going to get into any of the other large cap coins or anything. It's definitely not alt season. So we'll put it that way. So, not much to say. Won't spend any more time on it. Dollar. US dollar. So macro wise, we got a big lower high here. Got a bunch of lower time frame stuff going on the chart where I need to clean some of this up. But on the macro, we got a big lower high here. We got a potential lower high M depending on what happens here. And again, just on the macro. I know fundamentally we are expecting more rate hikes coming. I think that's the elephant in the room is inflation has not peaked yet. I think the CPI print last week told us that for sure. So we got the month over month CPI print. It's pretty clear that we haven't peaked yet. So and they've forecast more rates. That's just something we got to keep in the back of our mind. That being said, on macro, we got a big lower high, but we're kind of trying to figure out what we're going to do over the next couple 4-hour candles here. As of right now, it's just not great. This was really frustrating last week. This entire week, last week, stayed the majority of the density of the move. We were just talking about this in the group a few minutes ago. The majority of the density on this dollar has just stayed in this compressed range, with the exception of CPI. You got the CPI print the other day, and it dropped down and came immediately back up into this range, and we're just still in that range. Spent the entire week here from Monday, from Monday basically of last week, all just nothing. Nobody wanted to move money last week, and then CPI happened, and now we're just back in the range. So we don't really have much information to go on here. A little bit frustrating. Very low volatility market right now. There's just not much to do, at least at the moment, until we can try to get an idea on some kind of direction on something. But the US dollar being a big part of that, there's just not really a lot here. We do have a bullish candle now. It was bearish 5 minutes ago. This was a bearish engulfing, when we started this video, and now it's popped back up. So not really much to say here. We are stuck in a range. If you wanted to look at it this way, you could say, okay, sellers on the top, buyers on the bottom kind of thing. If you wanted to do the supply and demand situation, something similar to that, you could refine it a little bit if you wanted to. We're not going to get into all that. You do some of that stuff in the group, but our strategy's a little bit different than that. But you can see where your sellers are and where your buyers are for the most part, and we're kind of in the middle. So don't want to take too heavy of a position while we're still kind of ranging in this compressed range in the middle. Our effective trading range is, we're just kind of in the middle of it. So there's not really a lot of information here to go on. We'll probably watch this. It looks like short term is pulling back up. How high this goes, who knows? Is it going to break the high? Maybe. It's got a long way to go today to do that. I think either thing could happen, and we'll watch that. There's honestly not much to say about the dollar right here. We can take a look at the macro structure, but then you've got fundamentals to deal with rate hikes inbound. And I think the important thing to note here is that I think we learned last week that inflation has not peaked with rate hikes inbound. So as much as I hate to say it, we're fundamentally bullish on the high. I hate that. We talk about this all the time in the group about being bearish on the low or bullish on the high. It really degrades your risk reward. So we try to be cautious when we're in these kind of situations where it's going up and it's already high. So not much to say there. 1 second. All right. Clear my throat. I'm losing my voice already. 4 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. So, moving on. This is going to be kind of key here with the dollar. We do have a short-term bullish candle. Man, kind of weird because there's not really much to do on it. Moving on. We'll move past that for a second. But we'll keep that in mind. We do have a couple little trades on, a couple little nibbles on in the group. You might see some of this stuff. Aussie dollar, very interested in this long on the macro structure of things. We've had a range expansion out, then down as the dollar's pushed. A lot of this was the pound dying over the last couple of weeks, and the euro dying at the same time pushed the dollar index up, which pushed us down. Everything is like a big symphony orchestra in the market, and all of the instruments play their part. We talk about that stuff in the group a lot, and how all of the instruments play their part and how they all work together to make a piece of music. Not really much to say on this kind of thing. I wouldn't really want to be short on. Again, watching the dollar for some hint of a direction. But when something's down like this and it's at the bottom of its range, it's just not a good short. I'd rather be long than short. The idea here is that, you know, we've probably got some kind of a range like this that hasn't fully developed yet. We're closer to the bottom of it. It's not great, but you can see the structure here. Like, you can see what's going on. We're closer to the bottom of the range and to the top, or even the center. So, you know, within a day trading context, we're looking for a little bit higher, maybe. Not much to say as of right now on Aussie dollar, but we're definitely watching this. Definitely, because of where it is. 3 definitelys on that one. This is a 3 definitely kind of trade. Just, I don't really think I need to even measure it. You know, we're looking at 1,000+ pips just back to equilibrium of the range expansion. So when this thing turns around, it's going to be biblical. So watching, obviously, Aussie dollar, it's in a very interesting spot because it's so low with so much potential. That being said, you know, we're not, you know, we're only trying to get the best entries. So we'll watch this. We'll see what happens here. If this puts in a range, if it tries to push up or something, we're really watching the dollar on that. Which is already starting to come back down. Kind of choppy here. Euro dollar. Obviously, euro dollar is at the mercy of the dollar index, and vice versa. The euro is the heaviest component of the dollar index. So as the euro goes one way, the US dollar generally goes the other way. And as far as euro dollar is concerned, the pair, not much to say really. Again, structurally, kind of a continuation of the compressed ranges from last week. You got basically nothing happened until CPI, and now we're back into nothing happened territory. Effective trading range, you know, a high here and a low here. You know, we're just kind of right in the middle of it. It's not really the best place to take an entry from. Try to stay out of the middle. So not much there yet until we can get a direction on the dollar, really. The euro is relatively weak so far this morning. As of Monday morning at 4 a.m. Eastern. It's a pretty weak euro, but not really trending in a direction. It's pretty flat. It's flat directionally, but weak, if that makes sense. I wouldn't be selling this right now because I mean, this is just obviously what's going on here. The farther down this goes, the more dangerous it is to try to start selling it. Technically, one way you could look at this, given that we haven't seen the right side of the chart yet, is you have a potential high or low W to come back into consolidation. Could be like a range high here situation. We don't, this hasn't developed yet, so we don't know, and probably wouldn't be shorting it down here necessarily yet. We're right in the middle. Again, in between a swing high and a swing low. Not a great idea to start selling it. Skip it for now. I think that's going to be the theme here as we move through these, is skip it for now. Because we just haven't gotten much of an answer from yesterday's very low volatility compressed range overall. And again, the market just opened, so we don't really have much of an answer. Euro yen, top of a range again. It's not much to say here. I mean, I think you could see how this could be a range high, and at some point it is very likely that this is going to pull back down. Now the question is, how high does it go first? It's just very likely after making this big charge up that it pulls back. You know, I'm not saying that has to happen from here, but if you look at this price action, this is what we call seller exhaustion. Actually, the bot trades this. I developed a strategy on the bot that trades this type of price action, where you have a grinding move higher with very small bodied candles. You're looking for some type of pullback. Very likely. It also just broke a swing high. Every time you break your local swing high like that, you start looking for the retracement, and supply and demand status, looking at something like that probably. If you wanted to refine it down, It may have a couple bounces in between there, but that would be a reasonable target on the way down. You know, if this came back and bounced and did something like that and goes into a range here, yeah, that would make perfect sense. That would be normal. So we don't want to be buying this here. We especially after breaking a swing high, being at the top of a big macro range. Like, you know, you could make the argument that this is a range high. It wouldn't be difficult to make that argument with euro yen. So what we don't want to do is buy the top, right? We don't buy the top and we don't sell the bottom. We do the best we can, at least. And I know that's relative to macro price action, but as of right now, especially within a day trading context, this is not necessarily bullish, given it's just a struggle bus up here. You see how small the bodies of these candles are, just grinding higher and grinding higher. It's generally not that great, especially after breaking a high at the top of a range. Logic states that this is going to happen, but we'll see. Is it the best entry? Probably not. It's not the best entry yet, but it may be fading into green candles here as the day goes on. Kind of wait and see what this we got a big bearish engulfing here. So euro yen could be weakness. It could be the yen and the dollar picking back up strength short term. Like I said, the euro is also weak and flat, so it could be euro weakness more than anything really, but that coupled with a pullback in the yen, I would rather be short euro yen, to be honest, looking at this 4 hour. So we'll see that. We'll watch this. This may be something today. I would rather be short. We got a few more minutes till this candle closes, and if it closes like this, then there's probably going to be some selling coming in. So euro yen short, I would watch that today. Market, look for a better entry, but market down. Euro CAD, well, we got that right. Got that shark fin, some group stuff, some structural mumbo jumbo that we do that's very reliable. Got that right in a big way on that. Euro CAD, as of right now, same thing. That's going to be the theme here. It's kind of the same thing. We're closer to the top of the range and to the bottom. If you split this logically into a block of price or a range of price action on the macro on the structural side of things, we're closer to the top of the range and to the bottom. Not really much to say there. We'll watch this. Again, could be potential weakness in the euro, and we'll see how the CAD plays into that relative to the euro. But right now, probably not the best entry. We're not, we've kind of sold off the high, and we're not necessarily at the bottom yet either. So, short term, we're still kind of in between, your swing high and your current low. We're just right in the middle of it. So again, not a great entry. We'll watch and see if we can get a direction on the euro. That may be something. It's just nothing. Speaking of the group stuff, look at the range tool. There's nothing that's turning out of 28 possible combinations of the 8 major currencies. 0 are moving in a multi-time frame confluent direction. So that kind of tells us what's going on here. There's nothing going on. That's what that means. Euro pound. Again, this is one we watch to try to get a directional bias between the euro and the pound. We always watch that dynamic between the euro and the pound. There's a lot of interesting politics going on. English politics going on right now in London, that had a very heavy effect on the pound. If anybody remembers, like a week or two ago, when the pound just capitulated it was already weak and it just completely fell out. The bottom fell out of the pound. That was because they announced a bunch of tax cuts, and now they're talking about reversing that. So we're going to try to pay attention to the news on that. There's a fundamental thing going on there that's not very common. You got basically the world has lost faith in the pound. That may be changing. It may be changing. There may be a regime change happening there. I'm not an expert on the politics on the ground there in the UK, but I know that had a very heavy effect on the pound last week or 2 weeks ago. So, we're going to try to pay attention to that. But as far as the euro relative to the pound, it's been weak. That being said, it's been weak. It's already been weak. So we don't want to start selling it now. Not really much to say here on this. This kind of thing looks like a range. Just had 20 hours of downside in a row, going back into some demand. So I could see a green candle coming on this. So we'll pay attention to that too. We'll keep that in mind. It doesn't necessarily mean euro strength. It could be pound weakness also. So again, I hate to be a broken record. Not much to say. Moving on. Euro Aussie. A little bit different structure here. Price action wise, we're on a broken high. We're on, again, a swing high. Again, we've broken the high. Finally, just had a broken high again. So now that that's happened, what we don't want to do is be betting the farm long up here on the high. And as far as short term, again, these are 4-hour candles. So these are big macro moves we're talking about, but short term, we've broken a swing high. Obviously, you don't want to be long on a breakout of a high. That's kindergarten level trading. Don't do it. Don't buys above this level stuff. That's like, we don't do that here. Euro Aussie, not much to say. Again, on a broken high. It's probably going to pull back a little bit more, but we've kind of missed the best entry. We'll look at this in a little bit on lower time frames. Not much to say here, but maybe fading green candles depending on how this price action plays out as the day goes on. This may be something tomorrow. If this would like try to retest a high or something, I may try to short this for a lower high for tomorrow. We'll see how that plays out. Euro Aussie, it's on a broken swing high. Probably going to be looking for a short, but from higher if possible. Euro Kiwi, same situation, same thing. This one has the Aussie and the Kiwi tend to run together. So a lot of times what I'll do, almost always what I'll do is I'll trade Euro Aussie and Euro Kiwi together as a basket. I'll take whatever risk I'm willing to risk and I'll split that in two, and I'll distribute the risk between the Aussie and the Kiwi pair. If it's like pound Aussie and pound Kiwi, or Euro Aussie, Euro Kiwi, kind of see what I'm saying. Because they tend to run together, one will always outperform the other one, but they generally tend to run the same direction. So probably basically the same thing is going to happen. Slightly different. It looks like the Kiwi may have been stronger. So slightly different price action, but same direction. Overall, this is at the top of the range. This gives us a little clearer piece of information actually on Euro Kiwi. We're definitely at the top of a range and we don't want to be long up here. I don't want to be buying this and then this fails and then comes down for the, first half of the week. It's just not a good entry. Oops. Back to Euro Kiwi. So you can see we're kind of rejecting off the top of the range. And it would have been a good short overnight in Asia, or, on Friday. Shorting this on Friday would have been a great entry. But right now, wait for it, pull back, skip it. Pound dollar. Gosh, what a turd. I don't know what all this stuff is. Some of the stuff is just lower time frame analysis, looking at levels on the way up. Algorithmic levels. This big capitulation is what we were just talking about when they announced that they were going to cut taxes on top of all the other mess. Everybody said, nope, no more pound. And this thing just completely fell out, and it did like 1,000 pips in one day, literally. It was about 1,000 pip move in one day. So that's taken itself back. Right. So now we're just right back where we were, and it was already low to begin with. This is still extremely low. Pound dollar overall. I have a feeling that at some point, and we've seen this so many times, it never seems that way at the time, but how many times have we seen this, where something is way down, it feels like it's dead and it's never going back, or all they're talking about is how bad the fundamentals are, and then you look at it 2 or 3 months from now and it does, and it's up here, right? How many times have we seen that? So I'm not saying this is a good entry. I'm saying that we need to pay attention to what's going on and possibly find some lower entries. This looks like a range contraction happening right now, which is not really the best situation. It's progressively reduced volatility over time is the way I define it. If you look at where your swings are, you have a compressed range. It's getting lower volatility, not more. That kind of stuff tends to resolve to the downside. So we'll pay attention to that. Right now, it's kind of struggling here. There's just not much to say, man. We don't know what the dollar's going to do, for one thing, because the dollar's at a precocious spot. And the pound has some really weird politics playing in, some kind of fundamentals. It's more of a sentiment thing, and faith in the pound, I believe, is kind of the issue here. But if that gets resolved, you could see a moonshot here because of how low. Let's keep it real for a second. This is low on the macro. It's still low. That being said, what I think is going to happen is this is going to pull back a little bit and then run up. My guess is that we're going to go after the swing low right here. And then once that happens, probably make a higher low and start running up, and we'll watch something like right here. Where's your last point where your buyers were correct in the move? Smart money buyers were correct in the move and have not been stopped out yet. That's going to be a reasonable target to make a higher low. It'll just be a big range, but we don't know if this is going to, this could take 2 months to play out. Who knows? Right. These are 4-hour candles. Right now, we're just trying to figure out what we're going to do this week. And over the next couple days, how are we going to position over the next few days? Getting a lot of back and forth in the market right now to currently live. Not much of an answer. Like the dollar popped up and then immediately rejected and popped back down. So still no answer directionally on the dollar. This is going to be hard to position on right this second because we're in between a swing high and a swing low short term. As far as day trade context, here's our swing high, or low. We'll just call it right here. We're right dead smack in the middle. Not the best place to take an entry from. If I had to choose, gosh, depends on the dollar. It's hard to say. It was a long, but we got to see what's going to happen on this dollar first to even make a decision on this. It's just whack price action right now. Again, you're trading from the middle of a compressed range. It's not really great. Sorry. We can control the quality of our decisions and we can control our risk management. We absolutely cannot control the movement in the market and volatility. We cannot control the market. We can't make it move no matter which direction it is. We just can't make it move. We can control the quality of our decisions. We can control our risk management, but we absolutely cannot control movement in the market. We can't make it happen. So we're at the mercy of that, waiting for it to happen. Here's something interesting on pound yen. Very clear range high on the macro, and this goes back quite a while. So interesting spot here. Careful. Don't get caught buying the top on this. Not my favorite pair to trade. And this is why. This kind of stuff is just, you have 6 months of nothing. And everybody chooses this to only trade only GJ. It's not the best choice. Way up on a high here after a big mega run up. We're going to be watching this one for sure. We're watching for some kind of a range high. We got some probe low. We're looking for some probe highs and probably going to be a short at some point. Interesting because pound dollar kind of looked like it was going to pull back too. So this is something we'll pay attention to. Right now, it's, mildly bullish, but we've just broken a high. We have a new swing high now. As far as just keeping it simple here, we've got a new high, so we want to be very careful. And if you look at where it is on the macro, we definitely want to be careful. Be buying the top. You could be buying the top for the next 6 months up here. You don't even realize it. We don't know that. We don't know what's going to happen. So, not the best right this second as far as what do we do here today over the next 3 to 4 candles. What are they going to look like? It's hard to say. This is on a high. I'm assuming we're going to get a pullback on this, so we'll watch this potentially for a short sell. Try to sell the high of the day, and we'll take a look on lower time frames in a minute and see where we are relative to our projected highs and lows, and look at our algorithmic levels on our magical range tool. Skip it for now. Pound CAD, kind of the same situation, range high. You can see it. It's consolidation. Kind of the idea. Seeing a lot of this. We're just still inside of these ranges from last week. Not really much to say. Boring analysis this time. Sorry, guys. Again, can't make it move. Can't change the market conditions. We can react and try to predict the market conditions, but we can't change them. So right now we're near the top of a range after a big mega run up on pound CAD. Finally went. I remember trying to catch this over and over and over and over and over. And then we had that big capitulation on the pound. And now we're all back up. It's right back to where it was, 2 months ago. Crazy. Nothing's changed. It's still low. Still low. All these pound pairs are still very low. That ridiculous capitulation. But it's over now. And depending on how the politics go with the pound, there could be some upside here. But what we don't want to do is buy the top of a range. Whoops. Alarm's telling me it's time to get up. Sip my coffee real quick. So, sorry guys, not much to say here. There's just not much here. We're near the top of a range. Be careful trying to buy this, depending on what your time frame to hold is. May wait for a better entry. Same thing, pound Swiss. Not much to say. I could see us popping up just a little bit more, but again, we're probably looking to sell the high of the day on this stuff. I mean, it's the same story over and over. Higher high. Not much to say. I would expect this to probably be getting close to putting in a red candle. I may try it from higher. Again, we'll watch the range tool to see where we are relative to our projected high of the day or something like that. Pound Swiss, I don't really trade a lot, but it can make moves. When the Swiss franc is making a move, this can be interesting. So, because the Swiss franc, when it starts to make a move, sometimes it likes to stay making that move. Like it'll pick a direction and go and stay there. So it can be interesting. I don't trade it all the time, but I keep it on the watch list just to try to keep my finger on the pulse. Second, see what the bot's doing. Bot's doing all right. Trying a different strategy. I want to try a different strategy this week on something. It's actually doing okay so far today. I was just taking a quick look to see where we are. Yeah, it's up. Yeah, they're running on all 3 accounts. They're all up. Just wanted to check it real quick. Yeah, so yeah, everything's looking good. Funny, this thing's closed over 100 times at 25 cents. I'm trying to micro closes, just doing something for fun, and it's actually effective. Some really interesting test results, trying to take a quarter out of the market just hundreds of times a day. The bot's doing a pretty good job of that so far. Yeah, it's up $27 taking a quarter out of the market at a time. So that's over 100 times since the market opened last night. So interesting there. Pound Kiwi. Mm, yeah. Yeah. Not much to say here. Same thing. Same analysis on the pound. Skip it. All right. CAD yen. Finally back up. And we're into some stuff that we were watching from last week. So the area where your shorts were correct in the move and had not been stopped out, they're now starting to get distributed, some distribution into that. Hmm. I wouldn't want to be long in here necessarily. I would watch this on lower time frames. Just not much to say here. Like, we're in some supply. We're distributing into supply. You don't want to become a bag holder and buy into this when smarter traders are selling into it. It's just not a good spot. Stay out of it. Stay out of it for now. My guess is this is going to get a red candle here probably soon. The yen is pretty weak. Actually, the yen is the weakest currency right now at the time of filming this. So it's not necessarily a short yet, but doesn't look great. Again, not much to say. It's really not much to say on this. We're on a broken high, and it's starting to get weak into some selling. So we'll just we'll be looking for a short here. It may not be the best entry, but we'll be watching important levels to sell here later on today, probably. Dollar CAD. Basically the same analysis on the dollar index. It's pretty close to the same thing as of right now. Not much to say. I wouldn't want to be long up here. We have a new high and it sold off, and now we're in between your swing high and your swing low. You know, if you look at your effective trading range, it's this basically. What that was last week. Go to some of this crap. You see how we're right in the middle of this, between the high and the low. It's just not a great place to make an entry, make a decision. Sorry, not a great place to take an entry and make a decision. That being said, got a couple 5 candles to the downside here. I would watch this on lower time frames. I could see this getting a little. It's probably due for a green candle as far as the day trade is concerned. I'm short dollar CAD right now from this morning on our basket that we took. Just currently, yeah, right at break even. Right at break even. So, it's negative 16 cents. I'll call that break even. So, I don't know, man. Looking at what the dollar was doing this morning, the dollar looked pretty weak. The dollar index looks very weak, and our bias this morning in the basket of positions that we took in the group early London was down dollar. We were betting against the US dollar, and dollar CAD short is part of that. So again, probably just looking for more downside here given what the dollar index is doing right now. And I know the CAD plays a part in that. The CAD is flat to weak right now. It's not very weak, but it's flat. So it's kind of at the mercy of the dollar. We'll wait and see what the US dollar is going to do. Not a great entry. Skip it. If you're not already short, wait. NASDAQ. I already know what my bias is on this. I want to be long. There's no question in my mind about this. I want to be long equities on the lower low. Do I think that this is going to go lower at some point? Probably. Do I think it's going to be a big sell-off from here? No. No. You don't want to be short here. You do not want to be short down here. We'll look for better entries on this. I would watch the U.S. equities market for some relief rally. Watching for a relief rally here. I can already see a diamond bottom starting to form where there's a range expansion and a failure to go lower. You can already see the inner high here that started this kind of price action. You want to pay very close attention to. It's a transitional period where you go from lower lows into a range into higher lows. This is probably going to range a little bit, and my guess is start to make a run. We're going to get a relief rally closer to the middle of the week, if not early. So this is my guess on this. As far as strategy is concerned, we look at other things, but we're just looking at the macro, just the logic of what direction are we moving right now? What's going on? What's likely to happen? Specific strategy is very, very different than this, and the people in the group understand what I mean by that. But as far as just trying to get a directional bias and just look at the logic of where this is likely to go and why, I wouldn't want to be short down here. And again, these are 4-hour candles. I'm not talking about looking at a 1-minute chart. You said it was long, but it went down. I'm not talking about a 1-minute chart. We're talking about macro analysis. What's likely to happen as the week progresses and on into next week, even maybe. I would not want to be heavily short down here. So we'll watch that. We'll watch for pullbacks. Buy the low of the day. Again, we'll see how this closes. We'll see how the daily candle closes. Not even going to bother going into looking at weekly and daily time frames. We'll see how this closes today, but right now there's not much of a decision to make because we got a big crazy move in between the swing high and the swing low, and again we're right in the middle. You kind of see what's going on here. See, a lot of stuff is doing this. We have a lot of indecision in the market. And a lot of it was from carrying over from last week, and everybody waited for CPI, and then we got a big whoop-de-doo up and down, big whipsaw, and then that was it. And everything went right back into low volatility. So just low trading volume overall. And stuff like this. Look at this series. These are 4-hour candles, guys. Look at this series of price right here. Look how small these candle bodies are. You know how frustrating that is? Like for days at a time. This is multiple days of nothing. And then CPI. So we haven't really shaken that off yet. We're still in this density. I wouldn't want to be heavily short down here without paying very close attention to it. In equities, the U.S. equities market overall. And again, these are the index of equities, the indices. Is the plural form technically, which is a weird word, but the indices of equities. I just technically, fundamentals aside, I feel like we're due for some type of a relief rally, and I don't think it's going to have too much to do with earnings. I think it's just going to be a technical move. I think we're due for a relief rally here. So we'll watch this as the week goes on. My guess is that we're probably going to finish a little stronger this week, stronger than it looks. We'll see we'll see how that prediction fares toward the end of the week, or maybe next week when we do our next analysis. We'll see. Dow, same thing. It's going to be identical as the S&P and the NASDAQ for the most part, as far as structure is concerned. The VIX, don't really pay attention to this too much, unless it's at an extreme low or an extreme high. Right now, not much to say on this even. Even the volatility index is low volume, lol. So skip that for now. Lol. Oil. Careful shorting this. Be very careful trying to short oil. Let me get back to that was okay. Yeah, S&P, move through the VIX. Yeah, oil. I wouldn't want to be heavily short down here. Also, a lot of weird stuff going on in the news right now, with Biden asking Saudi Arabia not to restrict oil. That's pretty funny. That's hilarious. Not to basically cut there. I think they were going to cut 2 million barrels a day, which is like 2% of daily output. They were going to cut 2%, and apparently Biden had asked them not to do that until after the midterms, which is literally the same thing they tried to impeach Donald Trump for. Quid pro quo. So very interesting political faux pas there, that came out. So I don't know. I don't know about that. I would be careful with oil right now. It's down, it's popped up, and we have a potential range. We haven't seen the right side of the chart here, and do not count out the possibility that there's some kind of a range here, and this just takes an abrupt 180 here and goes into a range and starts to take off. We've got a spike low. We've popped up a level. This could potentially be a level 1 in the cycle. Like, our market cycle may be resolving back the other way. So there's a possibility of this, even though this looks crazy right now. Do not count out the possibility that this pops all the way back up and goes into a range here. That's the kind of stuff that happens. Gets everybody. A lot of interesting stuff going on in the news with oil. So pay attention to that. I wouldn't necessarily expect the Saudis to change their mind. I mean, I think we pretty much know that they're one of the biggest players, if not the one who controls the market. So if it weren't for being traded in US dollars mostly, I think that they would pretty much have a monopoly on the entire thing. So interesting politically, and also as far as technically, just the technicals aside, be aware that we haven't seen the right side of this chart yet, and this looks like a range that hasn't fully developed yet. So be careful with that. Careful trying to go all in short oil right now just because you heard something on the news. Skip it. Silver, not a fan of the price action. That being said, it's low. You can see a transition here. You can see, lower low, lower low, lower low, higher low, higher low. You can see the transitional roll under. We'll call a roll under there. And generally what's really happening is just a range. That's when you transition from a downtrend to a range, just structurally, just on the macro. That tends to be how that manifests. This is probably just going to be a range here on silver. Don't trade it too much, but I do trade it every now and then. I've actually taken a couple trades last week on silver, on that run up, caught some of that run up, but we've made another higher low here. I won't spend too much time on that. Gold, same situation, pretty much get very similar moves. The higher low, fundamentally, again, not going to get into the fundamentals of this. We've talked about it so much. With the Russia situation, the Russian central bank pegging the ruble to gold, and forcing Europe to pay for oil and natural gas in gold, and how they're, in a way, game theory wise, there's an argument to be made that there's a fundamental floor on gold. We won't get into that again. I think we talked about in the last 2 videos. So right now, it's not the best entry as far as a lot. I would not want to be short on this. I'm actually long gold this morning. It's my position that's the highest and the most profit right now. We're long gold, which was part of the shorting the dollar. Sometimes we'll take gold long, just because it tends to be it tends to be inversely correlated with the US dollar, at least on a short-term day trading type of basis. So we are getting our dollar down, by the way, which is good. We're bet against the US dollar today, and everything is in the green except euro dollar. Oh wait, no, never mind. That's the bot. Never mind. The bot has a momentum position on euro dollar that's not in the green, but everything, all of our manual trades are, which is fine. I'm just going to let that go. So it's good that it took it, though. I'm testing something. I wanted to make sure it was going to take the trade. So yeah, our basket is good. If the dollar's down, then we're in profit today. I think we took Aussie dollar, euro dollar, left pound dollar alone, took dollar CAD short and gold long, basically trading against the US dollar. So, and it was from early this morning, 3 o'clock London open. So we're up on gold on that. I would probably stay long. This is starting to look interesting here. We've got a possible one of these happening coming off the spike low, just like we just talked about. I would not want to be short here. Not necessarily the best long entry, but I wouldn't want to be short. Maybe looking for pullbacks on this. If it pulls back and looks like it's going to hold, we might take a second position long on gold. So as far as the macro is concerned, I don't know where we are on the weekly candle. My guess is that this is going to see some upside. I'm long gold. It would make sense that there's going to be some upside from here, personally. It's just, again, not the best entry right this second. As we're talking about, it's not the best entry, but already long gold from this morning, and I could see this closing higher as the week goes on. Gonna have some traffic to run into on the way up, but I could see this running up a little bit. Wait for it to pull back, and maybe we'll get back in it. So, what's the general consensus? We're waiting for a move in the dollar to give us some more information. That being said, we are looking like a lower high in the dollar. My guess is that this is going to be down this week, and we're going to be betting against the dollar probably all week, which would just be a natural pullback. Fundamentals aside, schmundamental. As far as equities are concerned, trading in line with that thesis, probably going to be some upside here. It makes sense that we're going to get some upside in equities, U.S. equities, and probably all Western markets, mostly probably going to make the same move. They generally tend to run together, like FTSE, the DAX, and everything tends to run together, basically. It's especially the American markets, the Russell, the NASDAQ, S&P, the Dow, they're all going to make the same macro structural move. My guess is that we're going to get some upside. So that's the way we're going to be playing that. We're going to be looking to buy pullbacks as the week goes on. And that can change. It can change, but again, this is 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning on Monday, and we don't really have much to go on yet, given that last week was it's probably the lowest volatility week overall that I've seen in a very long time. We just didn't get much last week. We don't have much information to go on yet, so we're just going to play this as it comes, but trying to take a pretty good guess. Just take a look at where everything is. The general consensus is there's not much information to go on, and I think we've identified a couple things, but there's just not much here yet. I think we've got a lot of range. We're in the middle of ranges on a lot of stuff, and then we do have some, like whatever that was we just looked at, pound CAD. This is at the top of a range, short term. So there's probably going to be some day trades. This is due for a red candle. How we finish the week, who knows? It depends on your time frame. We're not looking at 1 minute charts here. We don't do that anyway, but so you may get a different idea on what's going on depending on the time frame that you're looking at. But we're just trying to get an idea on how should we position here today and on into at least the next few days, and just get a general idea on where we are as far as how the week progresses. I think that, again, the general consensus here is we don't have a lot of information. Hopefully dollar down, equities up, looking long risk assets and short safe haven currencies. At the moment, that's what it looks like. That's the highest probability outcome in my particular opinion right now. So that's the way we're going to play it. Until that changes, long risk assets, long risk, short safe haven currencies, and we'll see how that plays out. And if it changes, we'll adapt with it. You have to adapt with the market. We don't do confirmation bias here. So I guess that's it for now. We're going to close this video out. Again, sorry, wish I had better news for you. It's just we're still continuing in the low volatility from last week. I think we've identified a couple things, and we'll see how this changes as we go on into the week. I'm going to switch over and do some lower time frame group stuff, try to find some entries and make some money on this Monday. So everybody have a good day, and see you later.